Do we have any idea of what we're doing? We seem to be going about the world not knowing about the most fundamental concept. That is love. I know nothing. And I really thought I knew. Until April 21st, I was 14 years old, and something happened. That something made me think of how love related to sex, how sex related to the body, and how it was so much more complicated than what was initially presented to me. The TV shows, the books, the love stories, my parents' love stories. I realized I had forgotten to inquire on the most elemental and essential aspect of life.
C'est toujours la même rengaine, plus je t'aime et moins tu m'aimes, et moins tu m'aimes et plus je t'aime, plus je t'aime. Je n'en veux plus de cet amour, j'ai passé l'âge, je passe mon tour à voir ailleurs si on t'aime mieux, avec des paillettes dans les yeux. Tout cet amour dont tu ne veux pas, j'ai beau y faire, il court vers toi. Laisse-le filer, laisse-le partir, laisse-moi t'aimer et te le dire. Ah, cet amour, ça ne va jamais. On n'aime jamais comme il faudrait. On dit toujours que ça viendra, qu'avec le temps tout vient.
Why do we fear nudity? What is so outrageous about the human body that we have come to care so much about the way it looks? What is it about breasts that makes them a private matter? Bodies are everywhere. Every TV channel I flip to has something to do with sex or with bodies. So why can't we be comfortable in our own? Why is it that a nakedness is always associated with exhibition? You might want to call the body sexual, but it was not always the case. I was 14 years old when I first saw a porn video. I was in a taxi and a friend showed it to me. I remember my first thought was, why is she shaved?
Why do you feel the need to shave your vagina?
Sometimes I feel like conforming to the American aesthetic, which is like super clean, super shaved or whatever. It's just about pretending for a while. Like, there's no politics involved in like shaving my vagina. Sometimes it's just nice to do it, you know. Like, whereas if I were true to my hardcore feminist self, I would be all bush, all bush.
So why not?
I feel like it would scare people I hook up with, and I do enjoy having sex, so I wouldn't spring an afro on them with the Jafro.
And you have to be honest with yourself in order to be honest with somebody else, I guess. And so I think sex is romantic because it involves knowing yourself and it involves sharing what you like to highlight about life, you know.
People are very conservative and don't want to talk about sex, But then, like, the media has sex everywhere. Like, it's on every billboard, every TV show, like, has to have a sex scene.
Guys are so gross.
Yeah.
Like, all the time. They're just so gross all the time.
I know, it's like you're that horny.
Their whole life is being horny.
Like, I'm not that horny.
Like, that
I'm honestly
sucks.
not that horny.
Me either. And
that kind of, like, freaks me out.
There are times when I just, like, don't want to have sex, like, for, like, 3 weeks. Like, I just, like, it's, like, dry. Like, no.
Tinder is just, like, creepy to me. Like, the amount of pictures of penises that women receive now is absurd in terms of, like, porn. How does porn affect our view of intimate relationships? And I think for, like, a lot of people, like, really screws it up. I think it's really damaging to men in particular, because they think that the way you're supposed to treat a partner is with this kind of, like, there's always kind of like this, like, domineering violence kind of, like, implicit in heterosexual porn. The first thing that pops up, of course, is, like, Pornhub, and that stuff is terrifying. It was so scary as, like, a young girl.
If they want to play around with the idea that sex doesn't have any meaning outside of sex, that's fine. I don't think it's true. I don't think it can be true. How you want to be romantic with other people involves being able to be honest with yourself.
I think this idea of being able to stay sexually satisfied in a relationship with one other person is unrealistic. When you introduce pornography into a sexual relationship, you can create unrealistic expectations.
I was in Hawaii. I was 15 years old. I just, like, woke up the next morning and I was like, shit, I just had sex last night. I remember I was, like, one of the last of my friends too. That's why I wasn't so, like, worried about it. I just felt bad because I had literally just met this dude, but I was like, I'm in Hawaii, so if I'm gonna lose it anywhere, it's better be with Hawaii, not with, like, some, like, fuck boy or something. So yeah, I think just the media pressures people into getting into it, and also I think, like, a disconnect maybe with, like, parents, like, it plays a big part of it. Like, a lot of my friends, their parents didn't really talk too much about it. Like, my parents never talked too much about it, so you didn't really think about the consequences.
I think that there's a lot of pressure today to have sex, and to have sex well. There's so much information out there that we're almost expected to do it all. You would have asked 20 years ago to 14 years old what a blowjob was, and I'm sure she wouldn't have known. Today, it's almost common knowledge.
You say you're looking for someone, never weak, but always strong, to protect you and defend you.
I do not believe in the concept of true love. I think that true love is more of an archaic idea, and I think that the generation growing up now has more connectivity, and we have this bigger world that we live in. And so the idea that there's one true love out there for you, or one person that's perfect for you, is something that is a little unrealistic.
I think that a lot of women definitely have expectations about how you're supposed to fall in love. And part of that is definitely media pressure. Like, there's this idea that it has to happen suddenly, or like, it has to be, like, Mr. Right, like, the first time you try. And that's not really how it works in real life. There's a lot more nuance to dating and to romance than a lot of popular culture would have women believe.
Someone to close his heart.
Someone who will die for
Everybody
you and
grows up
more.
and sees like movies about classic love and romance, and you want to find that person that makes you smile just thinking about them. And when you do, then every day is just a little brighter. You have somebody to share it with.
Go melt back into the night, babe.
I think love for a lot of people is like when you first meet someone, there's like that like burst of joy because like you never experience, like you don't know what the future holds. And
I feel like it sets different expectations, maybe just like in a social media sense, and I like feel this way like even outside of romance and love. When you have Facebook and you can constantly see what everyone else is doing, I think it changes your standards of what happiness is. And like no one's happy all the time, and not everyone's off doing those picture worthy or story worthy things.
Go lightly from the ledge, babe. Go lightly on.
You go first.
Favorite thing about you? I don't know. I like how they're very joyful a lot of times, and it puts me in a good mood.
Right. I don't know. I just really like the scar on your lip. That's like my favorite like physical thing. I don't know. It goes from like he has like one here and like one here.
Oh my gosh.
To close his eyes for you. Someone to close his heart. Someone who will die for you and more. But it ain't me, babe. No, 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 it ain't me, babe. This short inquiry has taught me that even though this new wave of media seems to have tainted the traditional idea we have of love, we still love. My neighbor is still in love with the florist. My mother and father loved each other once while they planned to settle in Greece. My friend still loves her boyfriend, even though 10,000 miles apart. And if our relationship to sex has changed, perhaps it is for the better. Pick you up each time you fall. Together, flowers constantly, and to come each time you call. A lover for your life and nothing more, but it ain't me.